All right, everybody, welcome back to the Beans No Ball podcast. This is episode 14. Now, see, before we get started, obviously we did not have a Sunday chat, just brush that off right away. It was Thanksgiving week. Christian was out with family. I had my own prior obligations, but yeah, aside from that, let's get back into our regular groove. At least we haven't missed our full episode just yet, so let's go ahead and get this started.
We were pretty busy that day, so we couldn't get an episode going. Hopefully, we can probably double it up this upcoming Sunday for Sunday chat, just to make up for past Sundays. But we'll see. Right now, we'll just get through this our actual main episode right now. So we're on episode 14. So we're making it through all of this season, man. Coming through. It's gonna end really, really fast. Playoffs are already around the corner. Teams are already clinching. Philly and Vikings can already clinch playoff berths and division titles. So it's going to get intense now. December is in 2 days, and football's more intense in December. So let's keep it rolling. So obviously, y'all know what we do already. So we're going to go over the Week 12 recap. Week 12 recap of probably go deep into the Thanksgiving games as well. Pretty good Thanksgiving games. And then we're going to move right along to the Week 13 predictions and our cumulative scores of our total records from our predictions. So let's get it going. So our first game of the Week 12, right? Yeah. Our first game of Week 12, which is the first Thanksgiving game, was the Bills at the Lions. Now, this game was actually very, very surprising. I really expected a blowout right here for the Bills. I really expected them to get it going against the Lions, but man, at halftime it was what's it called? It was only a 3-point game. It was 17-14. So it was a very, very close game. Second half it got a little bit more intense. Lions got shut off in the third. Bills got a safety from in the third. Those were the only points. Now, if we're really looking at it, if the Bills didn't get that safety, it could have been a little bit more momentum going into the fourth with the Lions. It possibly could have won, the field goals back to back, especially that one play, that last play to Stephon Diggs. That one play, I don't think it was the last play, but the first play to Stephon Diggs already got him in field goal range. So that was a very huge play for them. It was the second win. There's actually history too. Ford Field, first team to win in Ford Field back to back. And it was not the Lions. It was actually the Bills. We know that 2 weeks ago, Bills beat the Browns there, and now they beat the Lions at their own stadium. Regardless, it was a very nice, tense, great game to watch. Obviously, Lions, especially with that offense, they are. I think they were the number one offense for quite a while, but to keep up with these Bills, they just I really didn't expect these from the Lions, but they showed me that they're able to keep up.
Yeah, we've seen how the Lions offense has really been one of the better offenses. It's just like the defense kind of holds the team back, and they probably would be a playoff team at this point if it wasn't for that defense. But yeah, it's like you said, it was a close game overall. I was pretty surprised for the most part, just thinking the Bills would basically run over them. As good of a team the Lions have showed to be, I was just expecting an easy win, but the Lions really actually should have won this game if you look at it. You take away that safety. Goff kind of had a little moment there, but in the end they came all the way back to tie it but they left, I believe, 23 seconds, something like that, for Josh Allen, which he's been on the other side of that situation, and now this time, as you said, that really nice play to Stephon Diggs really iced it, got him into field goal range, and they just milked it little by little and got the game-winning field goal with 2 seconds left. And would have liked to see what Goff maybe could have done on a Hail Mary play with 2 seconds left, but they just brought it out on the kick and kind of just wasted right there. So that was it for another Thanksgiving loss for the Lions, unfortunately. And moving on, we got your game, obviously, Christian. So I'll let you take the bulk of it.
But thank you. So This is a very great win for my Cowboys. Pretty, I would say letdown win. Giants had 9 starters out, so I really expected it to be a high scoring game for us. Shutting them down. But I mean, we still managed to win by 8 points, one possession, which is pretty surprising. But once again, Dak Prescott undefeated against the Giants after his rookie year. He's 10-0, 10-2 for his total record right now with the Giants. So, I mean, I guess you can call him an owner of them now, which is pretty nice now. But yeah, just coming into this game, I had high hopes that we were gonna beat this team, and I knew exactly that. That first half was very. Should I put this? First half was very disappointing, atrocious, and it was mind-boggling. It was hard to watch. I mean, we still managed to get a freaking touchdown out of it. But I mean, coming into halftime, we were down 3 points. Realistically, I wasn't scared coming out of halftime because I'm like, it's fine, we got this. I pretty much expect it to be kind of like that Chicago Bears game where we kind of started choking, not choking. We started what's the word? We started playing less aggressive for the half at that Bears game, and in the second half it was just all Cowboys, all defense, and this is exactly what happened in the second half. We got the ball back. We scored. We drove. I think it took 6 minutes. I think we had possession for 6 minutes, 7 minutes that first drive, and from there, we really just kept going. I mean, we didn't let the Giants score at all in the third. 2 touchdowns in the third by the Cowboys, and it just really got going. Those 2 interceptions from Dak Prescott in the first half, there were. I don't want to say excuses because the first pick was realistically he thought he had a free play, and Michael Gallup wasn't ready. So, I mean, I guess I can call that an excuse, but realistically, they got to be ready regardless. The second pick, that one bomb to CD right up the middle, which I just didn't know what happened. But regardless, after that, I'm just like, Dak's going to do better second half. I mean, Zeke was getting going, and I really like that. He got 92 yards off 16 carries and a touchdown. Really glad to see Zeke doing well, too. And CeeDee Lamb, that one-handed catch, oof. Really good. I think it was just shades of Odell Beckham. Hopefully we sign actually after he visits us on December 5th. Really what I'm expecting, but we were robbed of that touchdown by CeeDee Lamb. His toes were in and his heel. But I mean, it didn't make sense. I think it was T. Higgins, or I think it was T. Higgins who had the exact same play, and it didn't count. So I mean, it would make sense if it for it not counting, but the officials just really not doing well. But regardless, it was a great win. Really excited. Had a great Thanksgiving. Broke the 3-loss Thanksgiving streak. Really great. Had a great Thanksgiving there. Had a lot of plates celebrating that victory for my Cowboys. We got Colts next week, Monday night. And then we'll obviously I'll talk about that a little after during the predictions. But it was a great win overall for my Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, you basically covered it all there. I didn't really get to pay much attention to this one as I would have liked, but yeah, I mean, overall it was a great game for the Cowboy stars, Dak, Zeke, and CeeDee, all working great in unison. So, not much more to say there. And we'll move on to the night game on Thursday night, as basically was the Thanksgiving Thursday nighter. Here was Kirk Cousins, I mean, finally getting it done in prime time. It's Thanksgiving, it's a holiday. Maybe you could call it an asterisk type thing, but it's prime time. It's not a noon game as he's used to, but I mean, hey, it was a pretty good game overall from him and the rest of the Vikings offense. Just really bouncing back after one of the ugliest losses you'll see last week against your Cowboys, obviously, and. I mean, I guess, the main story here, you see Justin Jefferson, he with 139 yards and getting his touchdown. That was, I mean, he was really just doing his thing. Just a really big game. I know that really helped you in fantasy this week, and just I guess a slower game for Dalvin Cook, only 42 yards on 22 carries. You probably would have expected him to get more, but the Patriots did find a way to kind of silence him in this one. But it was apart from that a pretty average game from Kirk, which I mean you kind of expect that on prime time, but at least here he did do enough to get the win. So props to him there. And I mean, 33-26. It was close, a little closer than I would have expected against see how the Patriots have been doing recently. But overall, a really good bounce back win for the Vikings here to kind of, I mean, set them up with a possibility to clinch and get into the playoffs this week.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of got it there, but just a little more things to add on. It was a great game to watch. You know, especially I think they were playing as I was already eating with my family, so you know I had to sneak in my phone and watch the game, and I thank God I was not disappointed. It was a great game overall. Obviously, my Cowboys really did beat them to the ground at their own house, and for the Vikings, that loss did not stop them. There wasn't a change in momentum, and they bounced back against these Patriots. It was they're scoring back to back to back. It was a back to back to back scores. It was a really close game, really close game. But obviously, it all comes down to the fourth quarter. Patriots couldn't get anything done, and Vikings outscored them by 10 points. So it was very great win, very nice great win for the Vikings, and now they can clinch a playoff berth with I think a Detroit loss is all they need, and they need to win next week against, is it the Titans or the Jets? I think it's the Jets that play next week. Yes, I think it's the Jets. Yeah, they play the Jets next week. So if they beat the Jets and Lions lose next week, they can clinch I think it's the division or playoff berth.
Playoff berth.
I'm assuming playoff. Yes, it's playoff berth. So yeah, I think this could be the first team to clinch a playoff berth, depending on what time they play. But we'll obviously go over that later. Looking at the Patriots side, Mac Jones. I mean, he had a pretty good game. I mean. He was only 12 yards, not 12 yards. I'm sorry. He was only 18 yards shy of 400, 2 touchdowns. It was a very good game by Mac Jones. I mean, they just really couldn't get it going in the fourth, and it just really stopped them. Justin Jefferson, another great win for him and his team. You know, especially great for me in fantasy. One of our fucking members on our team wanted to trade him. Literally a trade offer. He wanted Jefferson for. He wanted Jefferson, and his offers were Antonio Gibson, Deebo Samuel, and Christian Kirk. I'm like, what is this trade? I just didn't respond to him at all. And he responded to me again. You willing to trade him? I just didn't respond. But other than that, I mean, Justin Jefferson carried my fantasy team. Love that. But it was obviously, yeah, great win by the Vikings. Patriots 6-5. Hopefully they can get something going, finishing out. I mean, realistically, I don't see them winning out. They would probably lose one more game. I would most likely, but I mean they'll probably get their way in the playoffs somewhat somehow. But Vikings for sure they're gonna get that division. So moving on to the next game, which is another very surprising game. I wouldn't really call it an upset, but the Browns got the upper hand here against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home. The game did go into overtime after a very close game in the fourth. Bucks didn't score anything in the fourth, and the Browns, that touchdown really saved them. And obviously Chubb doing what it does best, carrying that Browns team. 24 carries for 116 yards and a touchdown. That overtime win was him. That overtime TD, man. And also Jacoby Brissett. I mean, regardless of what you want to say with Brissett, of his time with the Colts and his time with he was with the Patriots, right? He was with the Patriots for
the Dolphins.
At the time, the Dolphins, and now he's with the Browns. Regardless of what you think of Brissett, I mean, obviously he couldn't finish. Obviously, Browns are 4-7. You really couldn't expect much from the Browns, you know, after Baker left. We know how that is, but Deshaun Watson is coming back. I think, is he gonna play next week or the following week? Because I know he's back practicing. So is this upcoming?
Back this week.
So yes, Deshaun Watson will be playing this Sunday, and we'll see if he can turn the Browns around. But they're gonna have to win out somehow. They might have to get to 10-7, 6 wins in a row. I don't know if it's possible. Deshaun Watson has not played in over a year, but we'll see how that is. And the Buccaneers, a 2-win streak, came to a close right here. Really got outplayed by the Browns. Nick Chubb, obviously. Tom Brady, I mean, decent game, but obviously fourth quarter again couldn't get anything going, and it just came up to that overtime. But regardless of all that, great win by the Browns. Really more than I expected.
Yeah, not much more to say for this one. I mean, like you said, Jacoby Brissett, he just held it down in in Watson's absence. That was going to be his role this season, and he fulfilled it. Not to the best, but still, I mean, in this, I guess you would say, dysfunctional Browns team, 4 wins is something. And I mean, yeah, just I mean, for the game, it was mainly Nick Chubb. So I mean, Brissett really was kind of just a game manager for the most of this, but I mean, he gave it his all for this team, and I mean that's all you could really ask for. So it was a good it was just a great couple weeks for him, and now we'll see, like you said, what Watson can do. I really don't expect them to make the playoffs realistically, especially in that division, which I mean everyone in that division seems to be kind of falling off, but still I really don't see the Browns making it past the regular season. So yeah, we'll just see about that. But yeah, moving on, got another pretty interesting game. We did disagree on this one, and I finally got a little bit on these disagreements. The Bengals took down the Titans here. It was just a pretty slow game, not too much going, but obviously we see Burrow, his big pass to T. Higgins, that was the difference to put them up 20-16. That's not too much to say, especially now with I believe it was Joe Mixon. He had a pretty rough injury, and that gave Samaje Perine a nice opening to get in on the scoring. He's a backup, and he hasn't really had much time. Most really remember him from that 4th down in the Super Bowl where he probably could have dove for that ball and saved the season for them, but he kind of just let it fall, and that gave us our ring. So I'll take it. But yeah, he got a touchdown on 58 yards. Not nothing crazy, but that was enough to take the leaderboard on the rushing. And as I said, T. Higgins, he had 114 yards and a touchdown. That really was the main thing. Obviously, his connection with Burrow. Just their if it's not Chase, it's probably Higgins. So it was just that offense is really clicking for the Bengals, and you would hope it's in the right time with a game against the Chiefs coming up next week.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I really expected the Titans to win this one, especially with the way Derrick Henry's been playing. But the Bengals getting this win here is a very great win. I mean, we did go over this game could be both sides. It could go both sides, but T. Higgins obviously stepping up with the absence of Ja'Marr Chase. Speaking of Ja'Marr Chase again, he is returned to practice. I think so. I'm not too sure if he will be playing next week or the following week, but he will be playing soon, very, very soon. But, obviously it's great for T. Higgins, man. I mean, 7 catches, 114 yards, and a touchdown, especially that clutch play to really help him secure the win. I really like T. Higgins, don't get me wrong. But obviously when Jamar's going to come back, I would expect Ja'Marr to get a better workload, or they would probably set him down for maybe playoffs. We don't want to get him too much snaps, especially with that injury still recovering. But obviously great for T. Higgins, honestly. Really happy for T. Higgins. He had a phenomenal game. He's been having a phenomenal season as well. Perine stepping up, Samaje Perine obviously stepping up for Joe Mixon too. He had a pretty decent game. I mean, pretty average, mediocre, 17 carries for 58 yards and a touchdown. So not too bad. Ryan Tannehill, I guess you can say he had a great game. I mean, 291 yards, but I mean, Derrick Henry, really, I mean, he was doing all right, especially that one screenplay, but he fumbled, and then the rookie Burks picked it up. So rip fantasy owners for Derrick Henry, but it was a great win for the Bengals, and honestly, with the Ravens, we'll talk about the Ravens in a bit as well. Bengals could possibly walk away with this division. Not walk away, but Bengals could possibly take the division over the Ravens. So we'll see in the upcoming weeks. Moving on to our next game, which is a very, very sad blowout game. I'm not going to go over too much because, I mean, the Dolphins smacked the Texans 30-15. But those 15 points were garbage time at halftime, so it really didn't matter. That first quarter, 10 points, and then scoring 20 in the second, up 30-0 at half. It's another great win, 5th straight win. Tua, obviously one of the front runners for the MVP race. Him and Jalen Hurts are the two players that could possibly get MVP, but it just all depends how they play out. Tua threw for just 1 yard shy of 300, a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, he had a great game, 6 catches for 85 yards. So another great, nice Tyreek Hill game. But Tua, man, really proving everyone wrong. Dolphins starting 3-0. Tua's out. They get to 3-3, and then just five wins since Tua came back. Tua really proved everyone wrong. He's finally done better. I don't think he has thrown a pick in the last 4 games. But I don't know exactly the exact amount, but he hasn't thrown a pick for that long, basically a month. He hasn't thrown a pick in a month, and that's really great for Tua, man. I'm really happy for Tua, especially everyone really dogging on him. Especially when he was drafted. I love Tua, I really love Tua, but watching him, it was just like I don't know if he's gonna do well. With the picks, he can't throw, underthrowing. But this season really, really, really did show it to me, and the Texans on the other hand, well. 1-9-1. Not gonna say much about them other than David Mills got benched. But looks like Texans are gonna walk away with the first round pick in next year's draft. And Dolphins, this is another team to be in the AFC.
Yeah, honestly, if not for the Chiefs, this is probably one of my favorites to make to the Super Bowl. Maybe at this point, Chiefs Dolphins AFC Championship. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, it's just like you said, 5 straight wins. Just Tua's just really on fire. Maybe isn't really at that same pace that he has been earlier, but still, I mean, he's doing all he needs to lead the Dolphins. I mean, when everyone expected the Bills to run away with this division, and we both kind of predicted the Dolphins to sneak in as a 7, maybe a 6 seed, but I mean, look at them now. They'll probably end up realistically as a 2 or 3 seed with the AFC East wrapped up. Hopefully, in the next couple weeks. But unless Tua and the rest of the guys will start to fall off, it's looking like their division to win. They control their own destiny. I mean, it kind of does suck for them. They got nothing going in the second half. I mean, anyone that's a better, that kind of hurts. I believe it was 30.5 was the over under, and anyone who took the over, that's kind of tough for you. But yeah, not too much else to say. Like you said, this was a easy game to predict. The prediction came out kind of how we expected, obviously. So yeah, just another great showing for Tua, and just expect to see more of the same moving on with a big game against a tough Niners team next week. And now this next game, I mean, not much to say. Bears-Jets, it was a pretty rough game for the Bears. I did expect, in my defense, I did take the Bears without knowing that, Justin Fields would end up missing this game, which who knows how much of a difference that would have made with a great game by Mike White. After the Jets finally decided to bench a really struggling Zach Wilson, what can you say about him? He just seems really arrogant. Can't own up to his mistakes that he's been making this year. So and now you see Mike White have just this great game, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. Robert Saleh has already said that they're just going to roll with him as the starter for the remainder of the season, which, obviously, I mean, why wouldn't you? He's clearly showing he's a lot better than what Zach Wilson's been able to do, which realistically he's been holding them back. You see them at 7-4. They could be even better if it wasn't for Wilson. They would have won those games against the Patriots if it wasn't for this for Zach. And I mean, who knows what other games they could have won. They could realistically be the 1 seed if it wasn't for Zach Wilson. So I'm really interested to see what Mike White can do with this team and now actually lead the Jets to the playoffs. But a rough showing for the Bears.
Yeah. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, obviously I picked the Jets this game. Just knowing how the Bears are, I knew Justin Fields was going to be out already. I don't know how you didn't know, but I mean, I don't blame you. Yeah, but I knew that, and after he's done, I was like, going with the Jets this one, especially after deciding to bench Zach Wilson. Most likely his career is already over in just his second year. Literally, I was honestly playing after a year and a half playing for the Jets. His career is probably done there already. I don't know what other team will pick him up, but he's, like you said, he's arrogant, selfish, and he didn't take responsibility. Now looking at other players like Josh Allen, when they lost to the who was the most recent loss to again?
think that was the Vikings, that big loss.
Yeah, that big loss. Obviously, he took accountability, saying that he needed to play better and that it was on him. That was a really big step up, especially him for being one of the great quarterbacks in the league. And obviously, next week they get a nice victory too. So, like players like Josh Allen is like a player you would want in that locker room and the player to lead your team. Zach Wilson, obviously, he's not that type of player. Not taking accountability, saying no to letting the defense down. And obviously, defensive players all over the league were going. I know mine, Jordan Lewis, one of my favorite defensive players, one of my favorite players on the Cowboys, and in general, since entering the league, love Jordan Lewis. He even tweeted about it, saying how he's not taking accountability and he didn't let his defense down. And it's just really disappointing for Zach Wilson. But hopefully, Mike White, great game by Mike White. Only 6 incompletions, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. Garrett Wilson, I'm pretty sure he's happy now. 95 yards, 2 touchdowns, finally getting the ball. Elijah Moore also scored, finally, after not getting the ball from Zach Wilson. But, I mean, again, it's Elijah Moore really hasn't been doing much. But, I mean, it's fine. Hopefully he can get something going now. But hopefully this is just another one-game wonder for Mike White, like what happened last season. Hopefully he can continue to be how he played this game. And if he can play like this, Jets could be a pretty dangerous team in the playoffs. So moving on to our next game, another NFC matchup. The Atlanta Falcons at the Washington Commanders. Now, before I get into this game, Commanders obviously unveiled their memorial for Sean Taylor, and oh boy, was it disappointing. A mannequin, wired, and the jersey and the helmet. That's disappointing and a disgrace, honestly. Disgrace to Sean Taylor. I mean, when you look at other memorials, like the memorial for Pat Tillman, nice big statue. Not huge, but like a nice, pretty decent sized statue for Pat Tillman. Rest in peace to him. Obviously, in Philadelphia, built the statue of Doug Peterson and Nick Foles from the Philly special. That one play got him a statue. And that abysmal-ass franchise of the Washington Commanders, Dan Snyder, could not freaking build a better statue memorial for one of their great players that literally died, got murdered. Just disappointing. Now, moving on to the actual game. This is a great game. Another great game for the Commanders. They're back. They're officially above, not officially, but they're above 500. They're 7-5, still in the bottom division of the East. It's a very great division. My Cowboys, the Eagles, the Giants, and the Commanders doing well. Probably not for the Giants. The Commanders may take the 3rd spot, but realistically, if the playoffs were to start today, the whole NFC East would be in the playoffs. That's honestly surprising. Just 2 years ago, they're the laughing stock, and now they're one of the powerhouses. It's amazing. Marcus Mariota, I mean, he had a pretty abysmal game. That 4th quarter and that last drive, that drive looked promising. Zacchaeus, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, Zacchaeus. He was really coming in clutch in that drive, but just that interception really screwed him over. I mean, you have Cordell Patterson in the back of that running back. I would have just kept running with him. He's a great back. He probably could have get more yardage, more honestly, he probably would have got the touchdown there. And because of that, Mariota threw a pick, throwing, I think it was a little past the 5-yard line of the Commanders, but it was just really, really bad loss. I mean, Cordell Patterson was there. Mariota just couldn't get the ball placement on time, and Commanders took this victory. And it looks like Taylor Heinicke is the answer for the Commanders. I would assume Carson Wentz to be traded or released by this offseason, but it's gonna have a lot of dead cap on these Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, not much else to say. Obviously, you did take the Falcons in this game, which, as I always say, just these bipolar Falcons, you never know what you're gonna get with them. And Mariota, he had, a real below average game. This was one of the days where he came back down to earth, only 174 yards and that touchdown, which, touchdown in the 2nd quarter. If that's all you're gonna get, it's gonna be pretty hard to win there. I mean, it was a low scoring game regardless, 19-13, but the Falcons fall back down to now 2 games under 500, only 1-5 on the road. It's showing, but hey, in that division, who knows? With in the NFC South, they're still well alive in it. I think they're only like a game out of first because of the Bucs. What have they really been doing? especially with a loss to the Browns. So who knows what comes out there? But it was just a really great game for the Commanders. Like you said, all these teams in the East are in the playoffs as of right now, and I really would expect the Commanders to keep this up and end up making the playoffs. Taylor Heineke's really showing a lot, making even more of a name for himself, even though everyone just remembers him for that really great playoff game against the Bucks a couple years ago. But it was a good game, not in the sense of like a really exciting game, but hey, just some good sound football. And the Commanders 2 games above 500. See how the East wraps up, because realistically it is still wide open. And now move on. This was obviously a very disappointing game in the Broncos and Panthers rematch of Super Bowl 50. Just another ugly game for Russell Wilson. Leave it at that. Didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter, which, I mean, it's better than last week. I think the last couple of weeks, I mean, he at least got a touchdown this week, so good on him. But let's look at Sam Darnold, man, finally making his first start since last season, as the Panthers, basically setting aside Baker Mayfield, not really wanting to go back to PJ Walker. You got Sam Darnold, and it wasn't the craziest numbers, 164 yards and a touchdown. Poorer numbers than what we were talking about Mariota in the last game, but hey, this one, it got him the win. 23-10. Obviously, he got it done. It was enough in this game, and the rest of the team was able to carry the load. It was just not a crazy showing, but it was a good game for the Panthers overall.
I mean, yeah. I think I went with the Broncos this game.
We both went with the Broncos this game.
Yeah, both did, and I don't know what went on with this. I mean, they're both really struggling teams. It could have went both ways, but Panthers ended up winning by 13. Another disappointing game by Russell Wilson, man. I mean, realistically, this offseason, the Broncos were just a quarterback. They're just a quarterback away from actually being a contender. Obviously, getting Russell Wilson, trading him. Realistically, keep saying that. We really expected them to be a contender that now that they got Russell Wilson, but it just really showed that now that Seattle really won this trade. I don't think Russell Wilson, because Broncos fans hate him. They despise him. I was literally, just before we started recording, I was literally going through his Instagram because today's his birthday, and his comments are just flooded with like, "You suck, leave Denver." I'm just like, God damn, Jesus Christ. Russell Wilson went from being one of the best quarterbacks in the league, the most loved player, to being the most hated player in this matter of months by his own fan base. Very disappointing. I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos let him go in the offseason, but I really doubt they would do that. They have him for 5 years?
5 years.
They have him for 5 years. There's going to be no point in releasing him. Unless Russell Wilson can turn it around next season, Broncos are going to keep struggling, and this is not the way to go for Wilson. All right, in our next game, which is a pretty huge upset that we did not expect, the Jaguars come back against these Ravens to win 28-27. That gutsy 2-point conversion really, really set them up. And Trevor Lawrence, he did the Clemson thing. He got 3 touchdowns, 321 yards, 29 for 37 passes completed. This is a great game by Trevor Lawrence. Also, Zay Jones. Zay Jones, man, obviously a receiver that's really been looked down upon since entering the league. He had his little rise there with the Raiders, but he got 11 catches for 145 yards. Zay Jones is definitely the MVP of this game. Really helped these Jaguars come back. Same with Trevor Lawrence. Lamar Jackson did all he could do, but that coaching and that defense, man, it's just bad. It just really hasn't been doing well. Lamar really wasn't on Lamar. And again, all these 4 Ravens losses were all chokes. So if you really think about it, Ravens could be 11-4. They could be 11-0 right now. They could be undefeated, but obviously that coaching, John Harbaugh, I don't know what he's doing. That defense just again, I don't know what he's doing either. The offense here and there, but Lamar Jackson's just doing all he can. But the Jaguars really pulled away with this win, and just, I mean, hopefully they can keep fighting.
Yeah, I mean, like you said about that coaching staff. I mean, you know how much they love John Harbaugh over there in Baltimore, but I mean, how long is that great feeling about the Super Bowl 47 win going to last? I mean, how much success have they really had in the past couple years, aside from, I believe, Lamar had that one playoff win, I think, and that was about it. So I mean, realistically, it's surprising to say, but maybe John Harbaugh will be on the hot seat eventually. I wouldn't expect that, to be honest, but if you keep seeing demoralizing losses like this, it's a real possibility to see that if you can't get him a ring at this point, then why keep him? Might maybe look for someone that can innovate better than him and move on. But as for these Jaguars, man, I mean, after being used to seeing them at 1 win, 2 wins in the past couple years, they're already up to 4 wins. I mean, it is already past 12 weeks, but hey, that's an accomplishment for them. And like I said, I mean, look at Trevor Lawrence, man, 321 yards and 3 touchdowns. Props to him. What a great game. This is what everyone was expecting for him when he was hyped up as that number 1 overall pick out of Clemson. But yeah, I mean, let's see how the Ravens come back out of this. I mean, who knows? This could be just they brush this off and they go off on a tear. But I mean, these type of losses, I mean, when you keep losing this many at this much of a choking fashion, that could get to a team at times. We'll now move on to the afternoon slate, which this one I kind of did pay attention a little more after not really watching too much of that ugly Rams game. This Chargers-Cardinals game, it was pretty good. Justin Herbert, man. I mean, I did expect him to bring it back a little bit, kind of find his groove, and look at him, 274 yards and 3 touchdowns. Basically, exactly what he needed, exactly what the Chargers needed. And as much as people really shit on Brandon Staley for his little analytics calls, always going for it on 4th down, these little 2-point conversions here and there, this time, I mean, you got a touchdown that was supposed to tie the game. They would have been going to overtime. He went for 2, and hey, they got it. So they didn't have to go overtime. They just won it right there. It worked out in this situation. Doesn't work out in a lot of situations for the Chargers. So it just ended up working here. Good for them. But we'll see how much this lasts. I know you really expect Staley to be on the hot seat at this point, but overall, great win for the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I picked the Chargers with this one. It was honestly getting a little tense for me because the Cardinals were actually keeping up with this game now that Kyler's back. But obviously, Kyler really didn't do anything. I mean, since since Modern Warfare 2 dropped in October of last month, I mean, he really hasn't been doing anything. But I mean, it's just disappointing for the Cardinals. I mean, now we're starting to question if Kyler is the right guy for the Cardinals. So Cliff Kingsbury, not even him too. He's probably on the hot seat as well. Nothing's really happening right now, especially in the NFC West. That's pretty much already settled with the division winner. But the Chargers, obviously, I mean, they're 6-5, pretty mediocre. They did go for that gutsy. It was the 2-point, no?
Version right at the end.
Yeah, they got that gutsy 2-point conversion that really got them along with the Jaguars that helped them. But it just, honestly, I'm not expecting the Chargers to make playoffs, to be honest. I mean, they just can't rely on just these close games. And Justin Herbert, he was getting shit on all day this week so far. He's been getting shit on, and honestly, it sucks for Justin Herbert because he still has a lot to prove. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, he is a very good quarterback, with the way he plays. It's just that team, Brandon Stanley, obviously, already on the hot seat. And it's just very disappointing. Very disappointing. But, obviously, won by the Chargers, so can't really have much to say about that. Our next game, which is another very amazing game, which is an upset, I would consider it. The Raiders come away with an overtime victory against the Seattle Seahawks, led by Geno Smith. Geno Smith had a pretty okay game. he had a great game actually. 328 yards and 2 touchdowns. Very good, but it just wasn't enough to help the Seahawks win. I mean, especially with that defense that they have, that's pretty good, pretty okay. They just couldn't get it. Josh Jacobs just ran through this defense, 33 carries for 229 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a little over 300 total yards. DK Metcalf had a great game receiving. DK Metcalf has been quiet this season, but had a great game today. Not today. He had a great game on Sunday, but they just really couldn't get over it. The pass rush, that run defense of the Seahawks couldn't stop Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is the leading rusher in the league right now, and he's been doing well. He's really carrying these Raiders. I mean, these Raiders, again, I already expected him to do bad this season, but the way Josh Jacobs is playing, who knows? Maybe possibly Raiders can sneak their way in, but they're going to have to win out, and some teams may have to lose, but I mean, I really expected the Seahawks to win this one, but with building back like Josh Jacobs, you really got to stop that guy.
Yeah, I mean, what you say about Josh Jacobs. What was it, a 81, 89 yard run that got him the win there?
It was 84, I think. Around 80, it was around there.
But I mean, you look at his numbers, like you're saying. I mean, 229 yards. That's, I mean, for a running back, it's a massive game. Obviously, the chunk of that was that 80-yard run, but I mean, just a great game overall from the Raiders. You know, not expecting much from them at this point, but you know, they showed out. It was just one of those games. You know, a team that you wouldn't really expect to come away with it did here. And I mean, as for the Seahawks, it's a pretty tough loss here when, you know, you expect them to keep pace with the Niners. This could hurt them, but I mean, you don't expect the Niners to win out either. So it's give and take. But regardless, I would rather see the Seahawks win the NFC West than the Niners, since my Rams are out of it. But regardless of all that, it was just a great surprising win for the Raiders. I mean, obviously this is nothing for this season, but who knows if they can start building on something for next year. I mean, they're obviously not gonna fire Josh McDaniels because of, you know, their the money situation, but I mean, something can start clicking next year, hopefully, for them. Now, as for my game, my Rams took on the high-flying Chiefs. I'd like to say that I'm not gonna go too in depth, but you know, we'll see how much I end up talking about this. I'm not even like really feeling anything about this anymore, because I mean, I kind of just know this is what I got. I'm expecting from the Rams now. It's just kind of, you know, the season's over. It's been over ever since. To me, I think the season was really done, but after that Cardinals game a couple weeks ago. But yeah, this game was just. I mean, we had to miss Stafford again, which, I mean, who knows what much of a difference that really made. But I mean, Bryce Perkins, I've kind of been saying I'm kind of high on him. I want to see what he can do, see what we can develop out of him as a mobile quarterback, see what we can do with his passing, because he still looks pretty he looks flustered when he's in the pocket. He doesn't really enjoy like staying in the pocket. I mean, he doesn't have time, obviously, but the times he does, he's always expecting to look for a hole and just run with the ball, which I'd like to see him, you know, develop as a passer more, which obviously he knows he's not ready, and that's why he kind of prefers running it. But I don't know, I'd like to see more of a passer side for him. But I guess that would have to be if we're gonna move forward with him in the future, to really develop that out of him. But you know, aside from that, I mean, the main thing here is just the O-line. That is the killer. That's always been the killer. I expected this to be just a way more lopsided loss than a 16-point. I mean, we were still in it for the majority of the game. Only down, I believe, was it 13-3 at half? I mean, I expected way worse.
13-3 at half.
Yeah, it's just yeah, I don't really have much to say, because I mean, it's kind of just repetitive week in, week out. The O-line messes up, the defense is just kind of, you know, falling off more and more little by little after that that I love going back to. That Bucks game-winning drive, that just killed us. I don't know what Raheem Morris has been doing ever since then, but yeah, overall, just the same old. Season's over. Season's been over. Rebuild towards 2026 or something.
Yeah, that was a pretty depressing take on the Rams. I'm not gonna go into it. You pretty much covered the Rams, but the Chiefs, obviously, surprisingly, the Rams were somewhat into it in the first half, and in the second half, they just kind of didn't do anything. Got that touchdown in the fourth, but really didn't help them. But yeah, I mean, just another great game by Mahomes. Pacheco, our running back, had a decent game. Travis Kelce had another okay game, but he had a touchdown, so I mean that makes up for it. But yeah, these Rams, that O-line, that offense, that Super Bowl hangover is really getting to them. That defense was kind of staying in, but second half just went to shit. But yeah, hopefully Rams in a couple years from now they can get back to how they were. So now, going to the next game, which is a pretty straightforward game. The Niners shut out the Saints at home, which is really good. This is the first blank. This is the first to blank New Orleans since 2001. It was good. Jimmy G threw for 222 yards and a touchdown. Elijah Mitchell had a pretty bad game on the ground. Brandon Ayuk had a decent game, 5 catches, 65 yards. So he averaged 13 yards a catch. So not bad. But yeah, I mean, this defense of the Niners, they really haven't been letting their opponents score in the second half. And it really goes. That Niners defense is really great, 7-4. Realistically, the Niners are better than what the record says. But Jimmy G is really looking good too. I mean, Niners could look pretty deadly in the playoffs. Saints kind of knew Andy Dalton was gonna have a bad game, and I knew it, obviously. Nothing really else much to say, but it's just an overall great win by the Niners. Only won 13 points, but I mean, hey, shut out the Saints, and that's pretty much all I can say. I mean, what else? What is this to say besides just great game by the Niners?
Yeah, I mean, it's right now Jimmy Garoppolo is probably in the best form of his career. This game, 222 yards and a touchdown, not the craziest. I mean, this was a little slower game for the Niners, only 13-0. I think this is their first shutout of the season. I mean, just great. They're looking, picking up obviously from last year, just really good. But yeah, it's obviously this too comes against a real struggling team of the Saints, and regardless of that, overall, it's just a great game for the Niners, especially with a really important game that they got next week against a really deadly Dolphins team on both sides of the ball. So this should be a good prep for them to get ready for that. And obviously, we'll really go into that game right now for the preview. But moving on, our Sunday nighter. This one was a lot more intense than any of us would have really expected. This Packers-Eagles game, I mean, 40-33. I don't think anyone expected it to be this high scoring. But I mean, you see the defense is kind of falling back a little bit. Then that kind of explains why it was so high scoring. But I guess my main takeaway from this is, aside from the Eagles, the offense seems to be back. It's mainly maybe it's time to move on from Rodgers and start giving Jordan Love a shot for the Packers. I mean, he really looked good. He was getting the ball to Watson and Lazard to Watson mainly, really good. It was just a great showing for him overall. I mean, ever since Rodgers got hurt, that was kind of a turning point for this Packers team. And I mean, a lot of people don't really they're not too high on Jordan Love after a lot of performances that he has already seen, but could be some deja vu from when Rodgers took over for Brett Favre. It could be Jordan Love's time to take over for Rodgers.
It was a pretty surprising game. I mean, we both took Philly this game, and we were right, but it was pretty surprising that Philly only won by a touchdown, when realistically they should have won by more. I mean, we don't know if this could show that Philly are frauds, and we'll see how they play in the playoffs. But I mean, Justin Hurts. I'm not just I forgot his first name. I just blanked out. Jalen Hurts. I literally just blanked out real quick. Jesus. Jalen Hurts, he had a great game, really great game. But he had 100 rushing yards alone in the first quarter. That was very impressive to say at most. But I mean, just like realistically, just only 7 points against these Packers. It should have been more. It really should have been more. And if we're being, again, I'll say it again, realistically, if Rodgers didn't throw those 2 picks, who knows? Maybe Packers would have walked away with this win, but obviously that doesn't matter. Philly still got the dub. And again, Christian Watson, he's proving me wrong. 4 catches for 110 yards and a touchdown. I'll gladly take my L again. I was wrong about him, but still got some stuff to prove. But, I mean, great for the Philly. I mean, they could clinch a playoff berth. They can clinch playoff berth this season. Not obviously this season. This upcoming week with the Washington loss, a Seattle loss, and a San Francisco loss. So with those 3 outcomes, or if Philly ties and Washington ties and San Francisco and Seattle both lose, then they can get in the playoff berth or division. What was it? I literally just read it too. I think it was playoff berth or division. But regardless, it's the same thing. But no, it's playoff berth. It's playoff berth. But yeah, they can get in the playoff berth like that, and we'll just see what comes to them. They're 10-1, so looking good for Philly fans. Closing out our Week 12 with our Monday Nighter, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Indianapolis Colts. This game was honestly pretty not intense, but it was pretty decent at most. It was pretty much close. It was close. Each possession. Matty Ice, he had an okay game, couldn't finish. I mean, Jonathan Taylor carrying that Colts offense. I mean, he had 20 carries for 86 yards. He averaged about 4-point-something yards a carry. I mean, pretty decent, I guess. Still got a touchdown, though. And then Woods for the tight end of the Indianapolis Colts, 98 yards, 2 yards shy of 100 yards. Pretty decent, but sadly, they just couldn't get it. Those 4th down plays really determined that game, and Matty Ice just couldn't get it down. Another great win for the Steelers. Looks like Kenny Pickett is finally getting into rhythm. A little too late, but just gotta hope for hopefully next season Kenny Pickett does something. But other than that, it's just another great win from the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say about this one. It was pretty straightforward. We both took the Steelers in this one, and got it right here. Because the main thing about it is, Jeff Saturday finally having, his little struggles, seeing what being a head coach is all about in the NFL. For whatever reason, he didn't want to use his timeouts at the end. That is really what ended up killing them. They probably could have gotten more out of that late drive, but except for that, I guess it's a learning experience for him, growing pains as a head coach. But yeah, overall, it was a solid game, a solid way to close out Week 12. And with that is gonna do do it for our Week 12 recap. So just to really get us going, see how our predictions went this week. And this week, pretty even. We split our disagreements, I believe. We had 3 disagreements. I went 2-1 on this one, obviously. So I was 11-5, Christian. You were 10-6, and that puts us evenly at 103 and 77. So still, obviously, a respectable record for going this far into the season. We've kind of shown we can make these predictions somewhat well, but yeah, see we can actually take the upper hand in these last I believe 6 weeks of football we got.
Yep.
Let's get it started. I mean, in this week 13, I believe we got just 2 more weeks of teams on bye, and with this week it's going to be only 2 with the Cardinals and the Panthers. Obviously, we won't really be going into them, but yeah, let's get started. I guess, Christian, let's start the Thursday Nighter.
Yeah, so this Thursday Nighter, we got a what it looks to be a what it looks to be another great game from these two teams, the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots at Gillette Stadium, obviously. Realistically, realistically, I'm gonna say this is gonna be a close game, possibly 5-6 point game, but I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills on this one. I feel like they just got the slight upper hand on the Patriots. I mean, we saw Mac Jones finally doing well. He did great against the Vikings, just came up short. But with the way the Bills are playing, I'm kind of like being iffy about this pick, especially that they barely won against the Lions. But I mean, I'm still gonna go with my gut, and I'm still gonna go with the Bills.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you here. To me, there is a slight part of me really wants to go with the Patriots right here. Just knowing how these divisional games can, be really hard to call, and just the season in general, you just can't ever really seem to just know for most of these teams. But I don't really think the Bills will struggle too much. I think it'll be a close game regardless, but I gotta take the Bills here. Move on into the Sunday slate. Early game, first 10 a.m. game. We got Steelers, Falcons, two really struggling teams. Honestly, it's close, but I'm gonna have to say Marcus Mariota has a little bounce back, and I'll expect the Falcons to come away here. Maybe Kenny Pickett and the Steelers kind of falling back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this game look coming up, and I'm like, I was a hard decision, but yeah, I gotta agree with you too. The Falcons, they're pretty much my easy pick right there. I got another, especially how bipolar the Falcons are. I feel like they're going against Pittsburgh. I feel like Kenny Pickett, at least 2 interceptions thrown again. Hopefully Marcus Mariota does contain his throws and his picks. Hopefully doesn't screw him. And if they utilize Cordell Patterson in the run game, they'll for sure walk away with this dub. Now, the next game, which would seem to be a boring game and lackluster, the Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears. I'm going to pick the Green Bay on this one. I'm picking Green Bay on this one. If Jordan Love does start, and we saw how decent, pretty okay he played when he got in the second half, and it looked promising. And obviously, if he continues to play like this throughout the rest of the season, then most likely start with him, which will be the most obvious case. If he does start, they will walk away with this dub. But regardless, if he doesn't, I'm gonna go Green Bay winning Chicago. They just always seem to beat Chicago, and see if it can stay like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep these agreements going. I'm gonna go with the Packers as well. It's all depends on. Well, no, not really. Even if Justin Fields was playing, I really wouldn't be thinking the Bears to win this. Especially you would expect them to just cruise in. Wait to get a decent draft pick here. But yeah, as poor as the Packers have been going, and as I really don't want to be picking them, it seems like an easy call to say that they'll bounce back against a team that they just seem to not be able to lose against in the Bears. Now, next game, these two teams got the same record, Jaguars Lions, both 4-7. It's a pretty somewhat even matchup, you could say, but to me it's pretty easy to go with the Lions here. I'm gonna expect Jared Goff to really go off. Even this historically bad Lions defense, I don't believe will struggle too much against the Jaguars. They'll probably force some mistakes out of Trevor Lawrence, and yeah, I would expect a pretty light Lions win.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you once again. I got the Lions winning this game too. I feel like this would be another great win by the Lions, especially how bad they started this season and kind of picking it up. But there's still 3 games. There's still 3 games behind 500. But obviously Jacksonville is coming a big win against the Baltimore Ravens in that comeback win. But they got that momentum driven through that whole team. But I got a feeling, and I got a strong feeling going with my gut that Detroit's gonna walk away with this one with another great win. Next game, we got the New York Jets at the Minnesota Vikings. Now, this game I would expect to be a nice game, nice scoring game, pretty great game, close game. But I'm going to stick with the Minnesota Vikings on this one. I think Mike White will come up short this game. I really think he'll come up short. I think he would do bad this game. I'm calling it. He will not do good. As much as I love Mike White, I feel like it would be more obvious if they're going against Minnesota. So got to stick with Minnesota to take this dub.
Yeah, once again, gonna have to agree. These Vikings, especially with the playoff spot on the line, I'm pretty sure they'll be up and ready to at least do their end. I don't know if they'll be able to clinch because it seems like the Lions got a pretty easy matchup, but yeah, they'll at least get closer to finalizing their playoff spot. And as much as I love Mike White as well, I don't think, they're not at the caliber of the Vikings, so seems like it'll, at least by a touchdown, I would expect the Vikings to win here. Especially with Kirk, he's got a 10 a.m. game, so you know what he does at this time.
Yep.
Move on to another early game and a big NFC East matchup. This could have a lot of playoff implications moving forward. The Commanders and the Giants. This is key matchup, as I'm saying. So I'm gonna have to go with the Giants here. Pretty tight matchup overall, but in just like I said, tight overall, but it's gonna come down to the running backs to me. And so when you got Saquon, nothing against Brian Robinson and everyone on the Commanders, but when it's Saquon, it's Saquon. So I would expect a tight game, but Giants squeaking it out here.
Excuse me. Great NFC East matchup right here going on with two teams that are above 500 again, which is pretty surprising. But I feel like this game is gonna come down to the run game, and obviously I gotta agree with you once again. Got the New York Giants winning this game. I feel like this game is gonna be all determined. I feel like this game is gonna be determined between Brian Robinson and Saquon Barkley, who can really get the run game going quicker for their teams, and which has game gonna be open up more. But I got the Giants on this one. I feel like they got the slight upper hand here. Washington has been on a hot streak, 5-1 in the last 6 games, so very surprising. I think now it's 5-1 in the last 6 games, and pretty surprising by the Commanders. But New York, I just feel like Saquon could possibly carry them to this victory. Moving on to the next game, which is another great game. So I guess week 13 we got a bunch of great games in stock. The Tennessee Titans visit the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, sadly, I'm gonna go with the Philadelphia Eagles on this one. Sadly, I will go. Tennessee's coming off a disappointing loss against the Bengals, but the way Philly's playing, Jalen Hurts is playing on the run game and the pass game. I got Philly winning this close by at least 3 points.
Yeah, gonna have to agree with you here. I'm actually really tempted to take the Titans, depending on how that run game can get going. But I'm pretty sure the Eagles, just the way Jalen Hurts has looked recently, I'll take my chances with the Eagles. And obviously their playoff implications, see how much closer they can get. But I would expect the Eagles to come out of this in a pretty close game. And moving on, we got this one. It should be easy to call. Who knows with how the Ravens can be with the lead, but yeah, Ravens Broncos. To me, I would expect the Ravens to come away with this one pretty easily. No lead is safe with them though, so we'll see how much they can maintain a lead here. They are going against Russell Wilson though, so you would hope they're pretty safe. So I'll take the Ravens here.
Yep, I'm going with the Ravens once again. Like you said, no lead is safe with the Ravens. All of their 4 of their losses were all chokes. They could easily be 11-0 right now, but sadly that is not the case. And it is Russell Wilson doing horrendous this season. You would expect the Ravens to easily win this game, so I'm going with the Ravens. Next game should be a pretty obvious call. Cleveland Browns at Houston. Cleveland Browns, they have been struggling, but not as struggling as the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson is coming back to start against his former team, so I would expect him to be playing with a lot of energy and hate. So I got the Browns winning this game.
Yeah, obviously big matchup. His debut of the season after his long suspension, but yeah, easily gonna have to agree with you again in this. This gonna have to go with the Browns, and not just the caliber that Watson is, but then just the rest of the Browns offense. We haven't seen it. We don't know what kind of chemistry he has with Nick Chubb and Amari Cooper and all this, but I would assume that in this offseason they've worked diligently enough, and I would expect this offense to really, really go out. They'll be a lethal offense. Don't get me wrong. In these final 6 weeks of the season, it just depends now. They won't make the playoffs, but this is signs of what's to come in the future. But yeah, I'll take the Browns here. And we'll kick off the late games, the Sunday slate, the afternoon games, with my Rams hosting the Seattle Seahawks. Pains me again. Gonna have to do it. I'm going with the Seahawks. Can't really pick my Rams in a game like this. It's just we're down to our third stringer. As much as I love to see Perkins develop, I'm gonna have to say, Geno, the way he's playing, I'm gonna have him outduel him. The Seahawks run game's probably gonna just really torch our defense, because obviously the Rams have been a really subpar run defense overall. So Kenneth Walker is probably just gonna run all over us, get a touchdown or two. Who knows? And on the other side, hopefully our receivers can get going, make it a close game. Just depends on how much time Perkins has in the pocket, which obviously won't be much with our O-line. But I just really want to see him. These last games, it's just an audition for him, and I want to see him see what he can do passing the ball. That's my main hope for the rest of the year. See what we got for the future. So yeah, Seahawks in this game here.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I'm not gonna go into detail with this one because of the obvious ones. You pretty much said everything. I'm going with Seattle on this one. I feel like it's gonna be a clinic here. Seattle's gonna have a field day. Kenneth Walker is just gonna run right past them. Next game, we have another great game coming up in the afternoon. The Miami Dolphins at the San Francisco 49ers. Tua and the Dolphins have been on a hot streak. Tua obviously doing well, really proving them wrong. And they're going against arguably the number one defense in the league. But I got the Miami Dolphins winning this one. And it's going to be a very, very close game by both teams. But I got Tua coming in clutch in this game. So, Dolphins.
Yeah, gonna have to agree. I don't believe we've disagreed just yet, but yeah, to me, it's gonna be a really good game for Tua. Obviously, I've been alluding to this game over and over. This is, potentially a Super Bowl preview. You just see two really high-flying teams coming into this game. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, as you mentioned about fantasy and that same guy wanting to take Justin Jefferson from you, I'll go ahead and, I mentioned to you, he kept trying to take Tyreek from me with a really subpar trade of, I believe it was Debo and Christian.
It was Debo and Christian.
Yeah, just had to throw that in there as well, see how our league mates trying to fleece us, but not gonna do that to us. But yeah, I'm gonna have to expect a really good game for the Dolphins. Really good game overall. I'd expect this to be real close. Would have rather see this game get flexed to Sunday Night Football instead of the Dolphins getting the Chargers game flexed in the next week. But yeah, oh well. But it'll be a great game overall. And move on. Chiefs Bengals rematch of the AFC Championship last season. I'm gonna have to go with the Chiefs getting the upper hand this time, getting their revenge on the Bengals home soil. But it's also gonna be a really close game. You see Mahomes and Burrow, the way the Bengals have been looking, they are gonna make it real tough on them, despite what the record shows. But I'm gonna have to go with the Chiefs to really pick up 9-2. They're obviously the best team in the AFC right now, so I'll just keep it rolling right now.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I feel like there's another great game. Honestly, this week we got a bunch of great games, but this game's going to be close. The AFC rematch, but I got Kansas City winning this one against the Bengals, getting their revenge. I have yet to disagree, but we'll find out right now. The Chargers at the Raiders. This game could be both sides, really. Chargers ended up winning early in the season. But now that Josh Jacobs is going, I'm gonna go with the Raiders. I'm gonna go with the Raiders this week, because Josh Jacobs, man, he's been crazy these past weeks, and I got him running through that Chargers defense, and the Raiders are really gonna win over the LA Rams. I'm not Atlanta, the LA Chargers, and it's gonna be another close game. Calling it a close game, but Josh Jacobs is gonna be that guy, and he's gonna run right through him.
I guess we are gonna get a little disagreement in this week because I'm gonna have to go with the Chargers. I don't see the Raiders stringing two consistent performances together. It's just they haven't been able to this season, and I'll take my L if they finally do it this week. But I'm gonna have to see a poor showing for Derek Carr, and the Chargers defense isn't really even that highly touted, but yeah, I'll take the Chargers. They'll now go, I believe, 7-5 in on the season, and yeah, I expect Justin Herbert to have a really good game, not really struggle much against the Raiders defense. And now, Christian, we got your game. Just, I'll keep it light. Not gonna say much. I'm gonna have your Cowboys. It's Jeff Saturday, Matt Ryan. Not too much to be said for them. Don't know why this is a Sunday night game, but
I don't.
I'm gonna have to expect your Cowboys to come away with a pretty smooth victory here.
Yeah, I expect my Cowboys to win. Obviously, gotta pick my boys. If we manage to blow out the 8-1 Vikings by 37 points, I really expect another clinic here, another big blowout against the struggling Indianapolis Colts team, and I really expect to win at least by 20 points. If we can get a defense going early again, get Zeke and Pollard in there, Dak stays consistent, really got to lay low those interceptions, then we should have a nice, smooth victory here, and then we'll just go on with our weeks and finish out the season. But I really expect a nice, big and strong victory against these Colts on Sunday night. Now, moving on, we have another tense matchup for this struggling division. The New Orleans Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, once again, I'm gonna go. I think we're gonna disagree, but I think I'm going with the New Orleans Saints. This is gonna be the next game where Andy Dalton is gonna pop off. He's gonna pop off this game after having bad games. He's gonna pop off this game against Tom Brady. Okay, I'm calling it right here, right now. I got the New Orleans Saints winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, we will get another disagreement. I don't think that Dalton will have another good game in him at least for a while. I'm gonna go with the Bucs. Tom Brady's really hitting his stride right now. That's really my key factor. I mean, ever since that Rams game, he just seems to be on a different level. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bucs to close out Week 13. And yep, that basically wrapping up our entire episode. Overall wrapping up the recap. But yeah, overall that's as you keep saying, Christian. There's a lot of great football going on this week. Well, just gives a lot more reason that these predictions could take a hit. You never know with a lot of these outcomes, but yeah, that's gonna do it for us for episode 14. That's as always, just want to thank everyone watching us, anyone that does stay around for this much. But yeah, just a lot of appreciation. This holiday season coming up, just hope everyone's really enjoying all this and enjoying these episodes and enjoying the rest of the season. I guess, Christian, anything for you?
No, you got everything down, but just obviously would like to thank all you guys for sticking around, whoever's been watching us consistently since we started. We'd just like to thank you, obviously, just doing what we love. Obviously, not going to say more because I was pretty repetitive the last couple of weeks, but obviously, just thank you guys all. We really appreciate the support, and that's pretty much it. We'll see you guys on Sunday for Sunday chat.